Hi everyone, welcome back. Taylor here. Now, this video is being recorded on December 28th, 2020, which is right in the middle of probably the most confusing week in the calendar year, because this is the time between the Christmas holiday and New Year's. And the reason it's confusing is because not only are people feeling both kind of nervous and excited about the new year, especially this year, everybody's wondering what 2021 is going to bring. Is it going to be better? How's it going to be different than 2020? But also, if you zoom in, this is that time between the holidays where people are like, should I be working? Should I be going back to work? Should I be sticking with my family? Should I still be taking time off? And they're realizing how exhausted they are from maybe whatever family time that they were able to have. And so now they're thinking, wait, maybe I need a vacation from my vacation, but I should probably do some work. So it's almost like our schedules just get totally lit on fire. We do some work, we try to relax, we try to do other things while everybody around us is doing their own version of that, which creates mass confusion because nobody knows where they fit in this time period, as well as what they should be doing with their lives in this week in preparation of the next year. Now, what this does is creates a weird anxiety and nervousness about the new year, because if you're confused about what to do with your life this week, but you're sensitive to what other people are doing, or you're just downright exhausted by whatever your holidays looked like, instead of taking care of yourself and just sitting back and looking at what you actually need right now for recovery, you put pressure on yourself to somehow prepare for the new year adequately or correctly, as though there's some kind of expectation you're supposed to meet. And the problem with that is that that's what often leads to people setting New Year's resolutions. They have a lot of confusion and anxiety leading into the new year, and they want to have some kind of intentional plan or control over how they're going to start the new year. But oftentimes it's just a kind of coping skill. It's just a distraction in hopes that it would just kind of ameliorate or disappear whatever anxiety or angst you're feeling. That's why so many resolutions fail so early on in the year, because it's not aligned with who you are as a person. It's not aligned with exactly the type of physical or mental health needs that you actually have and what you actually want out of the new year for yourself and for your life. Now, I'll talk about how to set healthy resolutions in a future episode, but it suffices to say that those who set resolutions as a way of coping or distracting themselves from the anxiety and the confusion are often those who have a really hard time dealing with change. The new year in the human mind marks a time where we have to change something. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves that there has to be some kind of newness of our lives when there's newness of the calendar year. And oftentimes that resolution is made to cover up how we might actually be feeling, to avoid acknowledging how we feel about change, about transition. And so a few things, if you want to preserve your mental health going into a new year and preserve your happiness and fulfillment and prospects for success of whatever goal you set, a few things have to be done before you set any kind of intention or goal or resolution or whatever you want to call it. The first thing that needs to happen is you need to stop for a minute, take a breather, and accept how you feel about change. Acknowledge how you feel. Own it. First, ask yourself how you feel about change in general. Is it painful for you? Is it fear-inducing? Is it exciting? Is it exhilarating? What's it like for you? But then also ask yourself, how do you feel about change specific to the new year? So when a new year is starting, how are you feeling? Like right now, this week, how are you feeling right now? How do you feel about the fact that the new year is starting? Do you put pressure on yourself? Are you nervous about it? Are you excited about it? Are you relieved? Do you not even care? How do you feel about the turnover of 2020 into 2021? Now, once you ask that question and you're able to actually own for yourself and acknowledge how you actually feel right now, then you can understand why you feel that way. You see, you can't set a resolution yet because you don't even fully understand why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. So question number 2 is, why are you feeling what you're feeling? Why do you feel that way about change? Are you focused or are you sensitive to the future in some kind of way? Like, are you fearful of what's to come? Are you nervous because the next year might be even more uncertain than this year was? Or are you sensitive to the past? Are you not giving yourself permission to grieve some kind of loss? Or are you bummed out or sad or anxious about the fact that something happened that you can't undo, and you don't want to leave it behind? You don't want to move on. You can't move on. Is one pulling you more than the other? And if so, what is it? Is there only one thing? Is it just like fear of the unknown? Or are there multiple things? If you're able to answer these two questions, it not only gives you the clarity of like, oh, this is my specific experience of this time period, which would clear out a lot of the stress, a lot of the anxiety and the confusion around this time of year, especially if you're sensitive to how other people feel around you. And it's not only going to give you that relief of feeling like, oh my gosh, okay, yeah, this is how I feel. I can now just take a break and relax for a second and be like, all right, this is me. This is what's going on. This is what's real right now. But this gives you the opportunity to grieve what you want to grieve, or feel sad about whatever you feel sad about, or feel elation over something that was exciting about this year, or feel all those things about what's coming. Let yourself feel the fear of like, all right, I got to prepare for this specific thing. Now that you know what that specific thing is that you're afraid of, now you have time to prepare for that specific thing. Now, see what's happening? If you're able to specify and clarify how you feel, why you feel it, and what it's targeting, then that's what you can set a resolution about. That's what you can set an intention to more healthily manage or address or do something about in the new year, so that it no longer feels like change, no longer feels like something that you need to lose or something that you need to gain, but instead it makes it feel like it's the next step of your evolution. It feels like progress. It feels like the next year is just a new step. It's just the next logical step in your journey of success and fulfillment. But most importantly, it's all aligned with you. It's all aligned with your desires, your ambition, your mental health, your sanity, your impact, your relationships. So if you've set a resolution, or if you are still yet to set one, before you do, and before you really commit yourself to it, go through this process. Ask yourself, how do you feel about change? And why do you feel that way about change? And once you have those answers, take that data and use that to set your resolution. Use that to set your goal for 2021. And I guarantee you it's going to be different than the first idea that you had. At the very least, it's going to be even more specific, so much more clear, and so much more connected with what you actually want for yourself and for your life in the next year.